So right off the bat, you'll notice that this box art is sticking with the Iron Blood Orphans theme of putting the weapons right front and center there in this kind of classic pose, very similar to what we saw on the very first box in the line with the Barbatos. Very similar pose to that, but it's looking very cool here in this kind of icy, frozen setting there. It does look very cool. Going on here onto the side of the box, it's just going to be the same thing. This is number 42 in the HGIBO line. On the side of the box says, enjoy creating impressive poses by using its whole body structure. Of course, anyway, so there's basically recreating the pose that's on the front of the box, essentially. Here's the iconic face cover opening gimmick that has been recreated. I don't know if it's iconic considering it's a mobile suit that has not appeared in any anime or anything, and I don't even still yet know exactly what the source material is of this exactly, so I don't know if iconic is the right word, but anyway. The open-handed parts are attached, there you go, which look really cool with the red fingers, but I don't think that we're going to have that straight out of the box. You probably will end up having to paint those. The wings on the back are flexible, okay, and then some more about the damage expressions on the battle anchor have been intricately recreated. So yeah, the battle anchor is a really cool weapon. I do like how it's actually like broken off, so it's cool to see like a damaged weapon is pretty unique. And it's kind of cool how the armor of the forearm can be articulated onto the front of the wrist to basically work as a kind of melee punching weapon as well. That's also cool. On the opposite side of the box, you just got to look at what the kit looks like, all painted up, front and back. Looks really interesting, and here's the illustration work there. Here's the advertisement for the Astaroth Rinascimento and also the Gundam Marcosia, so a couple of other kits that have been like from IBO side stories. So anyway, that's just what I'm assuming is where this guy also comes from. So we'll take a look at the runners here in just a second. Here at the bottom of the box, a little advertisement here for the Gundam Breaker battle log. So that's just recently started. And the instruction manual is going to be pretty standard with the box art there at the top, and on the bottom here is some information about the mobile suit and about the pilot there with some very nice illustration work for both. On the back side is some more action poses and some information about the battle anchor, the nano laminate coat on the armor, and the form, and it looks like the tactics. So basically its weapons is just going to be, like I said, the forearm armor and the battle anchor, and that's really going to be about it for its main weapons for this. There's a color guide down there at the bottom. On the inside of the manual, we've got our parts list right there, this color page just with the last bit of construction showing the construction of the weapon, and everything else for the construction of the kit. There's a little bit more in color for like last bits of the construction of the kit, but pretty straightforward manual, I can assume, so let's just go ahead and check out the runners. So first up, we do have some foil stickers, which is very typical for an HG kit, but as far as HGIBO kits, it really doesn't have all that many. A lot of the HGI Mirror Orphan kits are a little bit sticker heavy. This is really not all that bad, it looks like. Runner PC002 for our standard polycaps here in that dark grayish brown color. Runner A here, the very familiar Gundam frame. This is the Gundam Frame 4 runner here in that same color, like that dark brownish, slightly metallic color here for all the frame parts. Runner B now is for some new parts specific to this particular kit. So there's a hands there all in red, so you'll actually will be painting the gray parts and leaving the fingertips red, which is not too bad. Got some other red parts up there. The main weapon is molded in silver, which is kind of interesting. You got some more of that frame color down here at the bottom and some of this light beige for some more armor pieces there on the side. Runner C1 is all of our dark navy colored armor pieces, and we do also have Runner C2, which is a copy of this middle section of the runner right there. And then lastly, Runner D is some more of that light beige color for some more armor pieces. We've got 2 of this D runner. So that's everything, guys. Obviously, at this point, I'm no stranger to the Iron Blood Orphans line, as I'm pretty sure I have built all 40-something of them out so far, but this one should go together relatively simply. But I'm interested to see what's different, because with the more recent releases, they have made some kind of small improvements to them, at least as far as I've noticed with the past couple out. So I'm interested to see if that's the case for this one as well. Let me go ahead and get it built up, and I'll let you know. Alright guys, so here is the kit all built up, and of course the most striking feature about this is probably just going to be its very cool design. It's got a really unique look to it, which is not that special of a thing to say, I guess, when it comes to the Iron Blood Orphans Gundams, as because a lot of them are very unique in their design, but this one definitely does look very cool, and those colors are really nice as well. The one thing that I'll say about it though is that it basically just feels like your very standard HG Iron Blood Orphans kits, so if you guys have built any before, you should have a pretty good idea what to expect with this. It's got a couple of pros and cons here and there. It's got some stickers, it's got a couple of seam lines, but overall it's got a lot of really nice surface detail, fantastic articulation, and just a really cool, unique look. As for its accessories, it is pretty limited, but they try to make up with that a little bit by adding a couple of gimmicks by the sidearm armor moving and also the hood mechanic. So that gives you a little bit more playability to make up for the lack of accessories. But let's go ahead and take a look at everything in closer detail here. Here are those accessories, just the main weapon, which is the battle anchor. Again, I do really like the fact that it's broken off. That does make it a little bit more unique looking. Would be cool to maybe get 2 of this kit and customize it and just use this part on both sides to then have like the full battle anchor. You could definitely do that if you were to pick up 2 of the kit. The fact that it's all molded in this kind of bright silver, I don't particularly like the color that this is molded in. I think in just kind of a darker, kind of normal gunmetal color, or like a dark similar to what we have for like the inner frame of the kit, probably would have been a little bit nicer, and then maybe have just these parts in a silver or something. I don't know, but definitely plan on painting this up either way. You will have a seam line on these parts here on the side. There's a bit of a seam on this middle part as well, but it's made up as a panel line there, so it's kind of hidden enough. Our other accessory would just be the set of holding hands for the weapon. Now the hands on the kit there, as you can see, are molded all in pink, so both of the hands are not color accurate. The fingers are supposed to be pink, so you'll either have to paint these in gray or paint these in that pink and try to match that magenta pink color, which probably won't be that easy either to get these to be color accurate. That said, I mean, I'm not too bothered by that. It is gonna look weird if you're having them mixed and match, if you're having one hand open and one hand holding, but so long as they're both the same color, I don't really mind. I think the hands do look cool in pink, or if you're gonna be holding the weapon, then having them both in that gray color, probably not going to look all that strange either, as it just looks like normal hand color. To take a look at the stickers, why don't we just go ahead and pop open the hood. So this hood part just folds back onto the back, and this little part here on the front folds down to expose the head and face there. You've got a sticker up in there for the eyes, of course. Here on the front and back of the shoulders, those little white triangles, those are stickers there. Here on the forearms, you got a little black sticker to cover up that part. Right here in the back, you've got some black stickers with the silver lining up in these thruster vents up there. You got the same thing down here on the front of the feet here, and then the same thing here on the inside of the shoulders as well for your stickers. So a number of stickers for this, not really like the worst as far as the color apps. These will all be pretty easy bits to paint in if you're so inclined. As for the seam lines on this kit, it seems like Bandai basically just tried to turn them all into panel lines. Like here on the top of the shoulder, here on these parts, there's seams there, but there's a panel line detail there. So Bandai just tried to make it easy on you and just turned everything into panel lines. But there is a little bit here on the inside of the wing, and then as I mentioned, a little bit there on the weapon. So not too bad as far as the seam lines go. The gimmick here on the forearm is just that this part here will fold down and then fold to the front. And I guess that's supposed to be just sort of punching. Then you can just punch with this armor panel then on the front of there, which I guess it has the nano laminate coating on it. So that would be, I guess, better for absorbing the blow of punching with this armor panel rather than punching with the mechanics of the fist anyway. And the overall articulation on this guy is going to be pretty standard. Again, if you've built any other IBO Gundam kits, so the head will move up and down a little bit. You got this very tall extended V-fin on that, which is pretty cool looking. It's a pretty interesting looking head. I'm not really sure if I like it more with the hood covering the head or not, because it does have a pretty unique look like that with that covered up and then the spikes sticking out. Because with this covered up like that, and then especially with these shoulders, it really kind of has the profile similar to something like an Ifrit, with like this top rounded head and these very Ifrit looking shoulders. So it does kind of have a little bit of like a Xeon looking vibe to it, if you get what I mean. Another note just real quick on the color apps, these kind of oval details here on the chest, the shoulders, the front skirts, and on the legs, those are all supposed to be black according to the liner, so that would have been a lot of black stickers, but definitely filling those in with some black paint or something like that will look very cool, I think, filling in all those details. Getting back to the articulation, here in the stomach section you have the same double joint there at the top and bottom of this middle section. So at the top, that will bend forward and back, and then the bottom is just on a ball joint, which has the same problem like always, that this ball joint comes off really easily, so just be careful when you're moving that around. But that of course will rotate, and we go around here onto the back. These wing bits can rotate up and down a little bit like that, and then you can also move them in and out like so. The shoulders are going to work pretty normally. Those will move up and down. This inner flap of the shoulder does also move separately. Bring that up and bring the arm up to about there. As far as the upward movement of that, this polycap joint there is the kind that will move up and down rather than forward and back. So the forward articulation of the arm is going to be a little bit more limited, as you can only bring that a little bit forward and a little bit back just because of this big shoulder armor. Otherwise, the elbow is going to give you a pretty good bend up to there, more than 90 degrees, but it is still just a single joint there. The wrist is just on a ball joint as normal. Now the skirts are kind of unique on this kit. The back skirt is just fixed in place, which is pretty normal for an HG, that doesn't move around at all. But the front skirts are actually connected onto the side skirts, so if we take that off, and it does pop off kind of easily, the side skirts will move up and down, and then there's just plain ball joint that the front skirts plug onto. So kind of interesting choice that the front skirts don't actually plug into the center like normal, but they plug onto the side skirt. It's kind of interesting, but these do tend to pop off very easily, so not really that big of a fan of that. The hip joint will rotate a little bit side to side. You can rotate the legs there at the top. You can bring the legs out pretty far to the side. Bringing them to the front is going to be a little bit limited, because as soon as you raise that leg up too high, it's going to pop that front skirt off, and that's one problem of connecting the front skirts onto the side skirts. So that's going to be an issue, but you can, if you have have that off, bring the leg, of course, much farther up. The knee is a double joint, which will give you a really full bend there, very typical to the Ironblood Orphans legs, but no separation of this knee armor, by the way. I feel like that probably wouldn't be too difficult of a thing to modify, though, if you were so inclined to do that. The ankle joint will move forward and back, and you can rotate the foot side to side like that. This little bit of armor here on the front moves independently, and then the toe does also move on its own. Really cool design here for the feet, how you got kind of that very high heel in the back, and then this kind of really sharp little toe there at the front. It's pretty cool. Now, unfortunately, I don't have another IBO kit on hand for a direct comparison, but here it is compared to the HG Arc 782 Gundam, and you can see it's pretty tall. Now, I've seen in other reviews that this is a little bit taller than a couple of the other Ironblood Orphans Gundams, like the Barbatos, for example. I think it's just because of those extra high heels. It does have a few millimeters added height in there. So while it's going to be pretty typically HG size, it is slightly taller than normal. So one of the great things that I do really like about the IBO Gundam designs is that the way that the feet move makes it so that you can get really wide action stances on the ground and still have their feet being flat on the ground. It's something that a lot of other just normal other different Gundam designs aren't really able to do just because of the design. So I like the Gundam frame on these, how you're able to actually do that. It makes the fact that these don't include any stand less of an issue because you are able to do a lot of really cool action poses just with them just stood on the ground. But that said, if you do have an action base on hand, or if you end up picking one up along with the kit, you are able to do a lot of really cool poses in the air as well, and that's one thing that this line always excels in. It's doing really great dynamic posing thanks to some very nice articulation amongst them. That said, one weak point that is kind of consistent with a lot of the kits is that they just have a hard time because a lot of times the weapons are quite large, and especially the shoulder joints in a lot of the kits I find can be kind of weak, so sometimes they do have issues holding up the weapons. This one doesn't really seem to be too bothered by that. The shoulders seem like they're holding up pretty fine for the time being, and while the weapon wouldn't necessarily weigh that much, it is something that I would be a little bit concerned about maybe over time. The shoulders and holding up this weapon might be a little bit of a problem, but for the time being it's okay, and so pretty satisfied with this kit. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to work on in the future. I'm definitely looking forward to painting this up. I don't know if I'll stick with the original color scheme. I'll probably go for something a little bit different, but I do really like the color scheme for this. It's a quite unique scheme that's just not something I think I've ever really seen on anything, this particular arrangement of colors on any mobile suit. So I always like to see something unique like that, and it's cool when Bandai tries out something different, and they've definitely done that in this line in general with a lot of kits. But despite this being the 42nd kit in the line, I gotta say it's definitely still a line of kits that I enjoy building. So if you guys have not picked this kit up yet, and if you're a fan of the HG Ironblood Orphans line of kits, but maybe feeling kind of maybe a little bit burnt out, I understand the sentiment, but definitely give this kit a try if you like the design of it. I think it makes for a pretty awesome HG. I don't think we'll see any 1/100 scale version of this at any time, but I don't know. You never know. If you guys are interested in checking out any of the HGIBO kits or anything else from Bandai, of course, the link to USA Gundam store will be down in the video description below, as always, with my coupon code there that you guys can use on anything that you find there on the site. If you have any other further questions or comments about the kit, of course, feel free to leave those down in the comment section below, but hope this review has been helpful for you guys. Thank you so much for your support. Until next time, hope you're all having a great day. Bye, guys.